at the same time.
Yeah, but I'm not. Usually science wins.
Well, I bet you if you live in the woods a long time, you get a little bit of superstition, a little bit of intuition, a little bit of you feel the woods a little bit differently than you could measure on a scale.
I can think of twice only in my life. Before I built my little cabin, I lived up this even more remote outpost called Moose City, loosely Moose City, because it was not a city at all. It was a old homestead with a lot of empty cabins. Twice up there, I got this feeling that there was something dangerous outside. Twice. And something just said to me, don't go outside. And I'm not afraid of anything. I mean, I spent my life dealing with wolves and grizzly bears and angry humans. But I listened to those feelings because I don't know any different. Why not? Why not listen to it? Like, I think we have some primordial part of our brains. I don't know if you ever had that happen to you when you've been out walking or hunting?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I've never had a moment where I was terrified, like something's out here.
Yeah, and I have no idea what it was. But I've never had that feeling around wildlife. I tend to think it was human. I don't know if we...
Oh, you feel like there was a human out there?
Yeah. I don't know if we can smell and not register in our forebrain what we detect. Maybe it's really primitive. I don't know. I'm just saying I had it happen twice.
If you're not around any people and then all of a sudden you feel a person, I bet that kind of like any person that you run into in the woods is scary. It's weird. Like if you, I always said that everything in the woods is scarier. Like if you saw a naked baby in the woods, you'd be like, what's that baby doing here?
Exactly.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Baby just standing there looking at you. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like there's something weird about the woods in general. And if you were walking through a mall and a man was walking your way, it's just another person. Like, hello, hi. You know, you're at the park, see a guy, normal. But if you're in the middle of nowhere in the woods and you see another person, there's this moment where you're like, what's this guy up to? Who is he? What's he doing? Is he dangerous?
Yeah, and I think that's because we're all raised in an urban environment, more or less nowadays. And so having lots of people around is normal. But to have one person in a pretty remote area, we don't experience that very often anymore.
But there's also no one is going to help you there. Like if you're at the mall, it's very difficult for someone to get away with attacking you.
Right.
If you're alone in the woods, there is this weird, like if you're some crazy serial killer guys out there, like and you know, you're backpacking, you're like, uh-oh. Like now I'm at the mercy of this person if they're crazy.
I have a chapter in my book, early in the book, where I describe an event that I'm basically been a real private person all my life until this book came out. And once I wrote this book, I had to bring up stories that are very personal to me. And I had an event one night that was terrifying, probably the most terrifying thing that's ever happened in my life. It involved humans. So, yeah, I totally get that. People in places where they shouldn't be. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to spoil it? You want me to do the spoiler thing? Or?
Well, we're talking about it.
Okay, I'll just give you the elevator speech part of it.
Okay.
So I was in my cabin at night, and the dog started growling. I had very big dogs. I always have dogs. And I looked out my window, and it was winter, and it was cold, and I could see a couple of guys out there lurking around. And I was in the middle of nowhere. And then it kind of digressed from there. So I for the first and only time in my life, I pulled a gun on these guys.
Really?
Yeah, I was in danger.
What were they doing out there?
Well, they came to pay me a visit.
They knew who you were?
They called me by name, which was really freaky. So you think somebody in the woods walking around scary? Wait till you see somebody who you don't know who it is and they call you by your first name. That's freaky.
And what did they want?
I didn't find out because I pulled a gun on them.
Wow.
I drove them off. And it was terrifying to me it was not terrifying at the moment because I was absolutely focused, like predator focused, calm. But after they left, I started to shake and kind of that
thing. Were they? Yeah.
To me.
But with the way they were communicating with you,
they were drunk.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
And so how did they know who you were? Do you know?
Oh, it's a long story, but I was working up there. I was kind of a novelty, a young blonde woman. I was only about 25, living alone, studying wolves. And at the time, there were other people coming and going, studying wolves. But at that winter, I was alone. And I had been working It's a long story. I was working behind the customs station right on the Canadian border, and they were hauling logs down out of Canada, bringing in the customs station. They would have to transfer the logs to an American truck, and then the Canadian trucks would go back. And I temporarily took a job as the knot bumper at the log deck landing, which means my job was to run a chainsaw, trim off the branches, trim the length of the log to exactly fit the log bed. Anyway, so I was around. So these loggers knew who I was, and I was, I was cordial enough. But it was two of those guys.
Oh.
Yeah. And I never told the story till I wrote this book. And I just thought it's a part of me that's very personal. It's a part of me that I learned from. It's never happened again. And I had one old logger, old Bob. He saw me on the road the next day. I was pretty shook up. And he stopped. We chatted often. And he had seen a wolf. He'd taken a picture of it. So anyway, we chat. And he says, so I hear you had some visitors last night. And I looked it up because he was up in his log truck. I said, yeah. He says, you don't have to worry. That won't happen again. He was kind of like watching out for me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because we had kind of befriended each other because he'd spotted this wolf and he'd taken pictures of it. Anyway, yeah.
So how did he find out that you had visitors?
The Logger Network, the CB radios. I don't know. I didn't tell anybody. But
Oh, wow.
he knew right away.
Yeah, it's humans that you have to be scared of.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you asked. That's
There's no serial killer mountain lions, right? They just have a purpose in nature.
yeah. They just kill because they kill because they eat.
Well, that's what their job is.
People are weird.
People are
Your little
creepy.
sign about there being weird. I love that.
Yeah, especially men. Men in the woods are scary. So when you were living out there, how many years